Farage's talk this morning should make us all very, very worried indeed. You can almost hear the hollow clang of his promises. Deportations by the plane load, sovereignty unshackled, red tape cut with a meat cleaver. But when you press on the detail, the contradictions multiply. And Farage's manifesto pledges are stark. To scrap the Human Rights Act, to leave the European Convention on Human Rights, to disapply treaties that block deportations, to deport 600,000 migrants by paying regimes such as the Taliban, Iran or Eritrea to take them back, scrap the UK-EU reset deal on food and farming even though it saves businesses £9 billion in costs, to build detention facilities on old military bases and consider deportations to British overseas territories. He frames this as sovereignty reclaimed, the nation freed from foreign judges and bureaucrats. But what it means in practice, leaving the ECHR would unravel decades of legal architecture. The Good Friday Agreement in Northern Ireland depends on it, as do countless trade and security treaties. Britain would suddenly sit in the same category as Belarus and Russia. We know this. But it's the minutiae of the legal chaos that would result. In terms of the economy, scrapping the EU reset food deal would re-erect border checks and fees. Farmers, fishers and supermarkets would pay, and the £9 billion estimate of extra costs would fall directly on consumers. Paying the Taliban to take back deportees is not sovereignty, it's subcontracting moral responsibility to an unrecognised Islamist regime with a record of persecution, torture and collaboration with Iran. If the Taliban are pleased with Mr. Farage's plans, then that alone should be a warning klaxon. If your enemy likes what you're going to do, then there must be something wrong with it. He presents Britain as torn between loyalty to our people or to foreign treaties. In reality, international law is not foreign. It is woven into our system. It's a false choice that Farage is offering. Deporting Afghans who fled the Taliban back into the Taliban's hands with aid as a sweetener is a grotesque parody of compassion. It's a moral inversion. And promising growth while deliberately breaking a £9 billion trade agreement is a contradiction worthy of Liz Truss's short-lived experiment. It's economic incoherence. Farage's movement, all his movements, thrive on crisis. If the problem were solved, the theatre would end. His is a politics of and by anger. Farage is a master of agitation, not administration. Starmer warns that this is Truss economics reborn. Ministers point out that reform offers fantasy solutions, yet Downing Street itself has quietly hinted at exploring deals with the Taliban, a reminder that Farage drags the political centre towards his own extremes. Britain is at risk of mistaking provocation for policy, and Starmer is at risk of trying to outdo what Farage promises. The only way to deal with Farage is to look in the other direction. It's rather like dealing with a temper tantrum with a child. A temper tantrum with a child, you don't gain the moral high ground by shouting louder. The same thing in a school. As a teacher, you don't get anywhere by trying to shout louder than the children who are rioting. You speak quieter. You do something different. You become interesting. Farage is wrong. Farage is wrong. And in order to be right, somebody has to start doing the right things. And if we want to know what is right, it's what Farage doesn't do. If you want to know what to do, think of what Farage does and then do the opposite. Britain is at risk of mistaking provocation for policy if our future trade, our legal order, our moral credibility is placed in the hands of a man whose allies boast that the Taliban would welcome him. Then we have confused putting Britain first with putting Britain last.